Hey guys, this is the WalterFootball.com After Dark show for May 30th, 2024. We're going to be doing fantasy football sleepers today with the triumphant return of the Cap is Fake. Before we introduce him, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would be appreciated. I don't think Kenny has seen some of these recent shirts that I have in the merch store. We have Rogers Butker make football great again. We have a money laundering shirt, which is the colors are chosen very carefully. We have our Kenny is the foremost expert on the show about the seven deadly sins. So November is. What'd you say?
I don't think that's true.
I think it is true. I don't know who else it could be. It's like you by default. I don't know. But like, yeah, November is sloth month. There will be other. I'm going to be doing shirts for the other 5 deadly sins that don't have months yet. I think greed is going to be March. I can't wait to make those designs. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we have Pedo Pete just in time for the election. The election's in November, in case you didn't know. So make your voice known here with the Pedo Pete election t-shirt. There are 4 lights. Kenny knows this one from Star Trek. And our new item, the Butker was right apron that you can get for your loved one. So this was a suggestion by Chris Williams in the chat. So I did it. And like I said yesterday, if you guys have any ideas, I will do them. So Butker was right. Get her for your loved one. Also, please consider super chats, super stickers. YouTube ads pay nothing. I said this so many times. We need to make like 4 videos to buy a McDonald's cheeseburger. So I don't know, like if that's a sad state about our inflation or the YouTube ads, but either way, it would be really appreciated if you guys like consider super chat, super stickers. We had $15 in super stickers from Kevin Kovac yesterday. John Sanders with 911 super chat. That was great. Recently we had Kevin Kovac with a $25 super chat. Michael McGee, $25. Slew has been great, contributing all the time. So just you guys have been awesome. So any further contributions would be great. Also, you can buy my book on Amazon, Jerks of the College Years. It's basically Jerks of the Week. But from my college years, I spent 6 years at Penn State. So as you can imagine, I ran into a lot of weirdos. You can see here on the cover, all these were drawn very well by the person who did the art. So you can do that on Amazon, and that would be another way to help support the show. But Chris is definitely for lust. Yeah, let's I don't have an idea for lust yet, but Chris gave me the idea of that apron, so thank you, Chris. Yeah, but I can't wait to make those five shirts.
I have an idea for you. Oh,
okay. Okay, well, I'll have to hear it. I think I'm gonna know what I'm gonna do for envy and greed. But yeah, we'll talk about it, I'm sure. But yeah, without further ado, joined by Kenny Ortiz at the Cap is Fake. Kenny, how are you?
Oh man, I am feeling great. I was off last week for my wife's birthday, trying to stay married, so that's good. And I actually, made a reservation. I nailed this one. I mean, I've kind of had some bad birthdays. I've had, just fumble through it, bad gift, bad reservations, whatever. This one, I nailed, and I nailed it only planning really 24 hours beforehand. So, this is what I get in previous years. I've planned weeks in advance and screwed it up. So this is motivated me to procrastinate in the future.
I have to ask, like, what'd you do that was special this time? As someone who's also married who might need ideas.
Oh, well, living in Orlando, Florida now is cheating because there's so much stuff to do. So people maybe not know this. My wife lived in France for a year and a half in her 20s, loved France. She wanted to move back. Then she met me, and I was like, no, we're not moving to France. That's dumb. And so, but she loves France. So we went to there's a really nice, fancy, hoity-toity French restaurant at Epcot, and so that was a winner.
Oh well, I guess it's convenient that you live close to Disney World. Maybe I should move down there, but my wife is like, I'm not going to handle the humidity very well. I don't want to move to Florida, and I'm like, it sucks. But
it's humid everywhere. Everywhere you go, it's humid. Come on,
that's true. She wants to move to Tennessee. I'm like, that's pretty humid there too. I don't know. I mean, unless you move to like Las Vegas or somewhere in the desert, like you're not gonna you're gonna experience humidity, like wherever you go, or like or California was like a sane state, like that'd be amazing to live there. But unfortunately, it's just not possible.
That's right.
Yeah. Chris says for Lost, maybe just a picture of Kenny with hearts around his face. Perhaps Kenny must thrive under pressure. I think that says a lot. That it was last second planning and it was great, but like you planned for a long time before and it didn't work out. I find that to be the case with me too. Like I'll start thinking about like what to do for my wife's birthday or Mother's Day or something like that, or our anniversary, and just like for weeks on end I'll think, and I'm like, man, I can't think of anything good, and it just like crumbles, it like falls apart as soon as the date arrives. But maybe I should just like ignore it until the night before, like you, and just wing it, and then maybe that'll work out. So let's get into fantasy sleepers, and then we're going to open up Rainmakers packs at the end. So that's always fun. I don't know how many sleepers do you have? I've about 10. What do you have?
Okay, I had a top 5, but I've got a couple honorable mentions.
Okay. I guess how many honorable mentions do you have?
One, 2, 3, 4. I'm sure I can come up with more. I got a bunch of players listed here, but immediately 4 stand out to me.
All right. Well, you have 9. I guess I have 10. So let's just zigzag, and I'll do 10. Then you do your 9th. I'll do my 9th, etc. All right. So let's go to 10. Ray Davis, running back for the Bills. James Cook is an injury away from Ray Davis potentially being the starter here, and he's going undrafted. He's just someone I have an interest in the late rounds. Buffalo has an explosive offense. Now the running backs haven't really contributed all that much, and it's weird though because Devin Singletary, who did almost nothing in Buffalo. He had one decent season, but then he did nothing, and then he went to Houston, was great. Then you had what's his face, the guy in where is he right now? The guy who he was in Indianapolis last year, and now he's in Cincinnati. What's his face? Zach Moss. Zach Moss, who did nothing in Buffalo as well, and then he went to the Colts and was great when Jonathan Taylor was hurt. So there's that. So you have to be concerned about like the Bills just not producing anything for the running backs. But Ray Davis seems like a good goal line back at the very least, and I think that there's a chance that he definitely exceeds expectations. I mean, he's going undrafted, like I said. So I think that's going to change as the summer progresses, and like if there's any buzz with him in training camp in the preseason, like he's going to be drafted. But at the moment, he's undrafted, and so I have interest in him.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not even sure James Cook is that good. So I'm not even sure Davis is going to need an injury to really get some meaningful playing time.
It's definitely true. Chris says the Bills focus on running more after the OC change, and with new receivers, they may have to keep running. Yeah, this is a good point. Yeah, Stephon Diggs is gone. So yeah, they may have to transition more to the run, which they did last year. Also better to preserve Allen. So Josh Allen even said last year that he doesn't want to run in the first half of the season, and then like once you get to November and December, he's going to run more. I don't know if he's going to do that again, but if he's running less, I mean that's just more carries for the running backs too. So it's a good point by Chris there. So you want to give one of your honorable mentions?
Yeah, I got these guys. They're not necessarily in particular order, but I'll give you Christian Watson. To me, he's according to Fantasy Pros, he's the 45th wide receiver off the board in standard leagues. That feels, I mean, that like you're talking around somewhere between around 11 and 13 or something like that. I think it's where I don't have ADP in front of me, so I'm just kind of guesstimating. That just seems really late for a guy who I really like. I think we saw when he was healthy, he was very good. Obviously, there was inconsistency there. There's injuries, but I expect Jordan Love to continue to get better. And I know there's a lot of talk about some of the other receivers on that team. I just think Watson's the most talented guy, and as long as he can stay healthy, I think in the long term he's going to be the most productive receiver on that team. So I like him, as the 45th receiver off the board. I mean, I think Watson has a chance to be a quality kind of low-end wide receiver too. If he staying healthy is a major question mark with him. But at that point in the draft, I'm willing to take a shot on him.
Yeah, I looked up Fantasy Pros ADP for Watson. It's number 100 overall. So the 43rd receiver, that makes him at 904, his average draft position, which is
Okay, it's a little higher than I was thinking, but
well, I still think it's a little late. And I agree with you. I like Watson this year. I don't know if you saw that report about Watson recently, where he had some chronic hamstring issues last year, and he got it checked out, and they found that one hamstring had more bulk than the other. And so they're like working to even that out. So first of all, it's nice that he's being progressive about just getting that checked out. And second, like if he goes through this procedure and gets it all fixed, he may have better luck staying healthy next year. So yeah, I like that overall.
it's interesting. I've heard of guys having extra bulk on one side or the other, but it's usually an arm for different reasons, though.
No, sure, different reasons. Yeah, so it is
They're easy.
It's true. Maybe that's on the lost flag, maybe. But no, I agree with that. I think that yeah, Sue says really like the Watson call. Chris asking how he's Green Bay's number one on a blossoming offense. He's talking about his ADP being that low, like 903 904 for the top receiver on an offense that it's going to be in the playoffs more likely than not. Just it seems so late, Maybe it's because he was hurt a lot last year, but if he's getting that fixed, I love that value.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. My next guy is Quentin Johnston. Now, this one's a stinker. He was so bad last year. You had like practice squad players outplaying him. But I think there's talent with him. Jim Harbaugh talked him up, and Keenan Allen's gone. Mike Williams is gone. No, he probably sucks, but I think that there's a chance that he may improve. Like there have been guys who've sucked their rookie years and have gotten better. And so I think that there's a chance, especially with Justin Herbert, he can turn him into something. So if his ADP was like 9th round, 10th round, I wouldn't have any interest, but it's 13th round. Like you're taking a shot here, swinging for the fences. And, if Johnson lives up to his expectations, like you're going to hit a home run because again, he's with Herbert and you don't have to worry about Keenan Allen and Mike Williams siphoning any targets anymore. So I think that there's a chance he has a huge year. It's also a chance he does nothing, but 13th round, you have to go big, so I like Johnson here. What are your thoughts about him?
I have you said he might turn out or he might suck. I have a feeling he sucks.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I think there's a chance, and he's in a good situation too. So it's not like he's playing with a bad quarterback.
Although I'm getting annoyed with Justin Herbert, by the
way. You're not the only one. We have some Justin Herbert naysayers in this chat, so you're not alone.
I get annoyed. He gets ranked like he's great. I'm like, what has he ever done? He's been to the playoff once, and what did he do in the playoffs? He had the most epic collapse ever. And he's like sucks. He's just like a boring. I don't know. Like I feel like he should be playing like high school basketball in Indiana in 1950. Like he's like this like boring, stiff white guy. Like, dude, cut your hair. He's not that good. People, I don't know. He gets rated every year. Like, oh, he's a top 5. Like, what has he done? I don't know, man. I'm starting to sour on him.
In fairness, like he's had 2 of the most inept coaches, that he's like possible. Like you have Brandon Staley, who's like the worst. Just good. Like they should have been in the playoffs like that other time. Remember, all they needed was a tie, and then he called that timeout. And then who was the guy beforehand? I can't remember the guy beforehand, but it was he was a disaster as well. So I like this is the first time he's gonna have a great coach, or at least like a really good coach, like a competent one. And the Chargers haven't had a competent coach since Marty Schottenheimer. Anthony Lynn was the guy I'm thinking about. So he's had Anthony Lynn and Brandon Staley, and now he's going to have Jim Harbaugh. And again, like Schottenheimer was their last like really good coach since Schottenheimer in 2006, and they fired him after he went 14-2. By the way, which is like so stupid.
I remember that.
Yeah, they lost to the Patriots in the playoffs. Like wow, like how dare they? Like the Patriots have beaten so many teams. But after Schottenheimer, they've had Norv Turner, Mike McCoy, Anthony Lynn, Brandon Staley, and then now Jim Harbaugh. So not exactly the most like competent crew there. Although it's funny that like Lynn and Staley, neither of them had a losing record. Funny enough, I think that just goes to show like the Chargers have talent. They just like haven't lived up to expectations. But with Harbaugh, I think they have a chance to. So maybe like I think you're right that like Herbert hasn't accomplished anything, but he has the talent, and now he's going to have the coaching to do so. So it wouldn't surprise me if next. I don't think this year, but next year, if they could compete for a Super Bowl, I think there's a chance that happens.
Yeah, I'm rooting against them.
Okay, well, they don't have any fans, so you're like, it's that is a problem for them. So, what's your second honorable mention?
Next one I'll mention, I've got two guys that I had them tied. I guess I'll separate them for
Okay.
conversation point. But I have two quarterbacks next, so I'll give you the first one. Matthew Stafford. I'm a little bit surprised. Now again, I'm the guy that's going to draft a quarterback very late. I'm going to be one of the last guys, if not often the last guy in my league to draft a quarterback. Like I'm looking at the other quarterbacks going ahead of him. Like I think on Fantasy Pros, Matthew Stafford is the 19th. I think quarterback off the board. I think he is ADP wise, something like that. And I don't understand like if he's healthy and the offense is healthy, like he's a way safer bet than a whole bunch of the guys that are going ahead of him, like Kirk Cousins, Trevor Lawrence, Jaden Daniels, Justin Herbert, like Jared Goff, Caleb Williams. Like all these guys are going ahead of him. Kyler Murray, even I'm not even sure I'd take Dak over him right now. I'm not like all these guys have major question marks. Brock Purdy has question marks. All these guys have major question marks. Stafford has as much upside as any of those guys, and I think he's safer than all those guys. And if he's going to go after all those guys, well, he's probably the quarterback I'm going to end up with a bunch, I think.
Yeah, CDP's 1009. So yeah, I mean, you're going to be the last person to take a quarterback unless I'm in your league. So we know that goes. It's usually like a race to see who drafts a quarterback last or also a tight end last. Although last year in our league, I got like TJ Hawkinson in like the 7th round somehow.
Yeah.
So which is like, I couldn't believe I got a tight end that early. Like usually I wait till like round 14. But I was like, I can't pass up on Hawkinson in round 7, Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it depends on what values you get and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, Stafford's someone you could target in the double-digit rounds, and I like him too. I like the Rams as a whole. We did a season win totals bet show last night with Jacob, and we both like the Rams over 8.5. Like that number seemed pretty low. I thought it would be like 9.5 at the very least. I know that Aaron Donald retired, but that offense would be so explosive as long as Stafford's healthy. Right. Which like there is risk for sure. Like he does get banged up a lot, but I do think the upside is definitely enormous. So my next guy is let's see here. It is Roman Wilson. His ADP 1612, so he barely made the cut for being draftable. The very last pick. He's Mr. Irrelevant in fantasy leagues right now. But this is a Steeler team that always drafts good receivers in the second day of the draft. Like just go back and you can find so many players like Deontay Johnson. Chase Claypool was good for a little bit. You had George Pickens. Like there are other guys that can name as well. The Steelers have drafted on day 2. Like they just seem to have a great scouting department for the receivers. Whoever's scouting the receivers in charge of it, like he needs a promotion of some sort because he's been terrific. And there's a chance that I think there's a good chance Roman Wilson is the Steelers' number 2 receiver because outside of Pickens, like they really have nothing. Now, obviously, they also have Pat Frymuth at tight end, but like they're at wide receiver, like there's really nothing else there. And Roman Wilson was someone I liked coming out of the draft anyway. You're telling me like I can get him in the final round. Now I'm probably going to take a kicker in the final round, but like he's my 14th round pick. Like I don't know. I feel like that there is some good value with him. And again, Pittsburgh rookie receivers have done well over the years, so I'll just take a shot with him. What do you think about Roman Wilson? I've
not seen him play. I mean, I've read a little bit of things about him, so I don't know much about him. I am hesitant because of the situation. I don't know what the situation is going to be like. So although I do have a Steeler on my list, I'm unsure because of the quarterback position. I think to me, I went back and watched a little bit of Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is cooked. He's worse than I thought. And the sooner Justin Fields is in there, the better that'll be for the offense, I think. And so I remember a couple weeks ago we talked about this. We were talking about the over-under, when does Justin Fields take over? And I felt like I think I said week 7 or 8. I think you said week 3.
Yes.
I think it's going to be closer to what you've said more than week 7 or 8.
I would like to amend what I said. I said I said week 3. I think it'll be week 4. And here's why. Because in week 2 they play the Broncos, and the Broncos are going to be horrible, and it's a revenge game for Wilson. Like I think Wilson's going to suck in the brief time he's going to play, but I think he's going to play well in that Denver game. Just like Denver's defense has collapsed. And I think that's going to be a big deal for him. And so I think the Steelers are going to beat the Broncos. And then the next week they play the Chargers, who have Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Derwin James, etc. I feel like they're just going to embarrass Russell Wilson. And then I think they're going to bench Wilson after week 3. So now I'm saying week 4. So, so I don't know. I think that's what I'm shooting for. Sandra says Herbert has the talent and now he is the coach, but no team. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Although I feel like their offensive line could be really good if Joe Alt can play right tackle, and they have some good pieces on their defense. Like their pass rush is going to be awesome. Their defensive line might be the worst defensive line I've seen, though. Jacob and I talked about that yesterday too. Like their defensive line is comprised of like absolute bums that like no one's ever heard of. I want to find out if you've heard of these guys, Kenny. Well, Puna Ford you may have heard of. But their other defensive linemen are Morgan Fox and Otito Ogbanaya. Have you heard of these guys?
I have not heard of Otito. I think I saw that guy Otito Banaya. I think I saw him selling fake Versace purses in New York on the street. Sounds like that.
Well, that's pretty good of the Chargers scouting department to scout that area in New York because
well done.
It is dangerous there with people getting thrown in front of trains and women getting punched in the back of the head. Like New York is not the safest place. So Godspeed to any scout who goes there. So you're up, I believe. You want to say your other? You have two other honorable mentions.
Yeah. I got so I said Stafford. I got Aaron Rodgers, another quarterback here. I guess I'm a little bit. I get it. He's a 41-year-old quarterback, coming off of a Achilles tear, and hasn't played meaningful football in 2 years. Like yes, and yes, he's choked in the playoffs a bunch and seemingly has regressed. Yes. But like for my money, Aaron Rodgers is the greatest regular season quarterback we've ever seen in the NFL. The fact that he sucks in the playoffs and is not clutch doesn't fantasy football. Last time I checked, is played in the regular season, right? So, like, I don't know, man. I remember 2 years ago watching him going like he can still make all the throws, and if this is a big question, but if he stays healthy, that Jets team, with the defense, they should have a lot of positive game scripts. They've got offensive firepower. If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, there's no reason he can't be a top 10, top 7 fantasy quarterback. Now, and again, that's a big if. I know, I get that. But I think he's like looking at Fantasy Pros. He's like his ADP. I can't remember what his ADP was, but I think he was the 20th or 21st quarterback off the board. You're telling me that there's 10, 12, 13 quarterbacks you'd rather have than a potentially healthy Aaron Rodgers? I just think that's absurd. And so if Aaron Rodgers is going to be drafted in round 12, I'll take my shots. I'll take my chances with him. And if he sucks, then so be it. I'll stream the position the rest of the year. But I think there's if you have a decent draft and you draft Aaron Rodgers in round 12 or 11, whatever it is, and he's healthy and he lights it up, like you're the odds-on favorite to be your fantasy champion. Like I don't understand Aaron Rodgers being drafted behind, some of the other schmucks that's being drafted ahead of him.
Yeah, I can't believe the schmucks are being drafted too. His ADP is 10-11, so I was pretty close to the 12th round. So he might fall to the 12th round in some drafts for sure. With Rodgers, like I think there are two concerns. Like one is the injuries, and two is the age, which I guess go hand in hand. He's played 4 snaps since 2022, so I think like we haven't seen him play since he was 39. Really, like we haven't seen him play in his 40s yet. So there's a chance he could be in for some major regression, but there's also a chance that he could be motivated and he could play really well. So I could see that working out. Especially if you can get him in the 12th round. Like 10th round, I think maybe a little too early. 12th round, I think definitely works. Chris says Stafford and Rodgers, I hope Flacco and Brady are next. Or maybe Warren Moon, he says.
I'm gonna wait till round 12, and it's in a typical 12-team league. If one of those guys is there, I'll draft them. And it could not work out, but the guys going ahead of them, like there's 10 to 13 guys that are all about the same in terms of the value and upside down, like in floor. And like I don't understand why do I want Kirk Cousins in round 7? Like I don't understand that.
Kenny, I think you're breaking up there. Are you available? You seem to frozen.
Am I frozen still?
Okay, I can hear you now. So yeah, sorry. Say what you're saying.
There's like I don't understand. Why do I want a guy like Kirk Cousins in round 7? Right? Like why do I want Tua in round 6? Like there's no value in that.
Yeah, I totally agree. People take quarterbacks way too early. Now there's a time and a place for early quarterbacks being chosen. Like if a guy you think should go like round 6 and he ends up in round 6, you take him there. But like generally quarterbacks are chosen early because people fall in love with the position. Plus it's like the first thing on the depth chart. So if people have like those forms you still have to fill out, if you're your manager, you're the league commissioner is a boomer and like wants written out lineups, quarterback is the first spot you have to fill out. So if you don't have that filled out, it looks pretty barren, I think, for most people. So they'll generally just draft a quarterback way too early. You see that way too often, I think, in fantasy, and people have never adjusted to it. Which I don't mind that because that gives us some leverage for sure. We have one guy in our league who always seems to take a quarterback in like the first 2 rounds, even if you can't get good value, which is, obviously you never get good value there, but still.
I don't like Caleb Williams is the 12th quarterback off the board. Like,
that's insane.
Why? I don't understand that. He's great talent, but he's a rookie. I don't understand, like, why do I want that guy in round 7 or 8 if I can have a, decrepit, old, falling apart guy in round 13?
Well, I have to, before we move on, I have to ask you about Caleb Williams. So I have his legendary card, and this is why I'm asking you. I'm wondering if I should sell it because there have been some really negative reports about Caleb Williams. He was benched at one day in practice because he threw 7 interceptions in a row. And there have been reports about like his passes hitting the ground, like being like all over the place. Do you read anything into that? Like, or is it just way too early?
It feels way too early. Right? I mean, I don't know. It's a rookie. I mean, John Elway was terrible his first year. I know. I mean, comparing Caleb Williams to John Elway is probably not fair, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It's hard to, if you can sell it for a profit, then maybe it's worth it because I just think there's better values at the position.
Yeah, I think I may sell. I mean, you talk about Elway sucking his first year. Like who knows? Maybe Williams sucks his first year and it's great, but like that doesn't help me with the Rainmakers card because they really lose value after their first year. And stupid Rainmakers, they didn't make their rookie cards like craftable into like real cards the next year. Like you have to use them in previous season contests next year. So it's pretty lame on their part, I think. Chris says I'd certainly take all of them over Tua this year. Tua has upside, but he has major downside too. Chris asking, what adjustments do you make for 6-point passing touchdown leagues? So I don't value. So you said nothing?
Yeah, I don't make any.
It's a very slight adjustment for me. I don't value the quarterbacks more. I value them equally because they all get the bonus. Not like some do and some don't. However, the one adjustment I do make is I value scrambling quarterbacks a little less because scrambling quarterbacks have the advantage of scoring rushing touchdowns, which are more than passing touchdowns in 4-point leagues. But in 6-point leagues, there is no edge for rushing touchdowns over passing touchdowns. So I will downgrade the rushing quarterbacks a little bit, but outside of that, I don't really handle them differently.
Yeah, all boats rise to the tide. Isn't that the old saying? Yeah. Also, I sometimes forget that there are leagues that don't give 6 points for touchdowns passes anymore because I haven't been in a league that doesn't do that in a long. Like every league I've been in for like the last 12 years has been doing 6 points. In the league we're in, we've been doing the 6 point touchdowns for a long time. Yeah. So I actually sometimes forget that's even a thing.
No, yeah, I'm in. I used to be in 6 leagues. I'm only in 2 now, but our league was the only league I'm in that was 6 points per touchdown pass. It was 4. Okay. It was 4 points for every other league. So it was weird for me. Our league was weird for me. It's funny how that worked out.
I kind of forgot. Back in the day, like in the early 2000s, I was in a league where touchdowns were worth 6 points, and it was split. The quarterback got 3 points, and the receiver got 3. And the rationale was, well, it's only worth 6 points, so they split it half and half. So a rushing touchdown was worth 6. So it just boosted the amount of points that running backs scored significantly more. And so anyway, there were probably weirder things I've done experienced in fantasy, but that was one.
Yeah, so are the first 24 picks in the draft all running backs then?
It was also 2003 and 2004 when running backs dominated anyway. So
that's funny. Yeah, I mean
the first 3 rounds were running backs.
Yeah, I could see doing that now because running backs are less valuable. But back then when running backs were king, the guy I used to be in one league. A league folded during COVID, but I was in one league and it was random, whoever gets the first pick. And the same team got LaDainian Tomlinson number 1 overall 3 years in a row. And this was a league where it was a touchdown league. So touchdowns were most of the points. You got points a little bit for each, how normally it's 1 point for every 10 rushing or receiving yards. In this league, it was 1 point for every 25 rushing or receiving yards. So the touchdowns meant everything. And Tomlinson scored 20 plus touchdowns in an era where no one scored more than 15. And so these guys got Tomlinson first overall and they won the league every single time. And then once they stopped getting Tomlinson, they never won again. It's so funny how that worked out. It was frustrating, but still funny though. And that it was a stupid scoring league, by the way, because kickers scored more points than running backs because they didn't adjust for kickers, but they adjusted for the yardage for running backs and receivers and also quarterbacks too. So the kickers were super valuable. People be taking them the 6th round. This is kickers would outscore everyone in the league except for Tomlinson. It's the dumbest scoring system of all time. So anyway, Chris also saying Caleb draft stock is from Stroud FOMO. I definitely see that. Although I do like Jane Daniels though because he's going to run a lot. So John saying way too early, and then Sue say Caleb Williams' value will be in his tucking the ball and running, but then a high chance he coughs it up. Yeah, I could see that. So I'm considering selling my card. Hopefully no one's listening so I can still get good value. So I'm up, right? Because you said Rodgers. Yep. You're not going to like this one, I guarantee it. Josh Palmer. We had this discussion the last time you were on. His ADP is 1401 though. So again, you're swinging for the fences here. And maybe you like the stat. He played 8 games last year after Mike Williams got hurt. He had 60 or more yards in 5 of those games, and he got banged up too. So it's not like he was healthy for all of them. Now Keenan Allen's gone too. He's gonna have there's a chance he's the number 1 receiver. I mentioned Quentin Johnson, and then obviously there's Ladd McConkey who they drafted in the 2nd round, but he's going to be in the slot. I think either Palmer or Johnson's going to have a really good year. I don't know which one. I'm in 2 leagues, so I'm going to try to get Palmer in one, Johnson in the other, or who knows, maybe I won't be able to, but that's my goal. I think I'm pretty confident saying one of them will go off. And I know you don't like Palmer, but we will disagree on that one. I think he's a good receiver. He's not a great talent, but I think he's a solid talent. And at 1401, I think he's just a really good value. So I assume you're not going to like this, right?
You can have him.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'll take him. I'll take him. And then he's going to score a couple touchdowns against you. So that would be fun.
It's possible that listen, even a broken clock tells time twice a day, so it's possible.
Not if it's like 99.99. Has to be flashing the 12 to be right. Sometimes it's not right. Sue says Palmer good under the radar receiver. So glad Slew is with me on this one. It's 2-1. Take that, Kenny. You have one more honorable mention, right?
I do.
Okay, what is it?
And maybe this guy maybe even deserves to be in the top 5, but it's Tajay Spears. Now I love the talent, I love the ability. He's a fun player to watch. I think his ADP, I think he's like the 36th running back off the board according to Fantasy Pros.
909 his ADP is.
So now, if they had not signed Tony Pollard, obviously, I think Spears would be, I don't know where he'd be drafted. Where I don't know where Pollard's being drafted.
I'll tell you in a second.
He's the 26th running back off the board according to Fantasy Pros.
Yeah, he's 709.
That's actually not bad value, and I'm looking at that. But I love Spears. I think he's a great little player. I think they're going to split time. I think this is a 1A, 1B situation. They'll split time. Maybe it's not 50-50. I can't imagine it's more than 60-40 in favor of Pollard. It may be less. Spears, they clearly liked him. They tried to get him involved quite a bit down the stretch last year, and I really like him as a player. And so I think, I like Tony Pollard, but do I think Tony Pollard has a legitimate chance to be like a top 5 running back this year? I don't. If Spears was the main running back, I think he could be like that kind of player. I think he's a fantastic talent. And so, it's a shame that they signed Pollard and they're going to split that. Obviously from an NFL standpoint, that's great for them. Keep them fresh, rotate the players. But I love Spears. If he were to get the chance to be the full-time back, I think he could be a quality RB1. And so, 9th round, maybe it's a little bit high, but if you can get him in the 10th round, that feels like a really good stash.
I like it. I didn't realize he's going that late. And maybe he makes the cut on my list as well. No, I like Tajay Spears a lot. He's great last year as a receiving back, and I think his role's going to grow. It is a shame that Tony Pollard's there, and I do like Tony Pollard because last year was coming off a broken leg, and now he's healthy. And I think Tennessee is an under the radar team. I think that. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs or anything, but I think they're going to be more competitive than people think they are. And they made some upgrades to their offensive line. They drafted J.C. Latham at number 7. They signed Lloyd Kirstenberry from Denver. And they do have a couple of other good pieces on the line. Like Peter Skoronski, they drafted him in the top 10 last year. So they have potential to block well. So I think Spears could have a great year. And what if Pollard gets hurt? Suddenly, if Pollard got hurt tomorrow, where would Spears go? Early 3rd round, right?
I'd be willing to take him in the 3rd round. I don't.
Yeah.
He probably would not go that high. Actually, I wonder if people don't really realize how good he is.
Yeah, you could be right, but I think both you and I would have interest in him in the 3rd round. So, that goes to show how valuable he is. And do we expect Tony Pollard to play every game? I don't. So, I'm definitely on board with taking him in the 9th round. And Pollard's good value in the 7th round too, like you said. Chris says, it's great Pollard is there. Let people draft that bum in the mid rounds and I'll get Spears late. Yeah, it's I do like Spears in the 9th better than Pollard in the 7th, but I do like Pollard in 7th too. Bagley says,
I don't think Pollard's a bum.
No, I don't think so either. I think that he just got some flack last year because he came off a broken leg. I think that he's going to have a better situation this year.
I also think Pollard was. No, I'm okay. I'm going back on my pick here because I'm defending Pollard a little bit here, but I think he's got a little unlucky. Last year, there were several times where I think I remember mine maybe 4 times throughout the year, early in the year, where he got tackled and kind of dumb luck inside the 2-yard line, and then ended up throwing the ball or giving it to someone else. So kind of like with a little bit of extra luck, his numbers could have looked very different, and I think the narrative would feel different.
Yeah, I think you might be. Yeah, I think you're right. He had a lot of bad luck, but then again, is he just bad at the goal line? Because in years past, it was all Ezekiel Elliott at the goal line. Who in Like Elliott's not the same player he once was, but he's still good at the goal line. And so I just wonder maybe Pollard just not fit for that style, just like running for 1 yard. I think there is some skill to that, and maybe he just doesn't have.
I think it's bad luck. I think
Okay.
That's just okay. I don't know. I watched Pollard play. I'm not even sure he was injured down the stretch. People were like, a lot of people thought he was injured. I'm not even sure he was injured. I just think it was kind of dumb luck. I mean, maybe he's falling down inside the 2 because he's an idiot, and he just like it's on him. Like, it's possible.
Yeah, I think you could be right. I do think that he had negative variance for sure. Although I don't know. We'll have to see. But like the fact that he's gonna be healthy this year, I think that I think he's gonna rebound. Bagley says even a broken nut finds a squirrel twice a day, as Emmett would say. Pretty sure he's said something like that at some point in his life. John asking, who's this year's Puka Nacua? I'm going with Brendan Rice. So late round receiver who just blows up. Like I feel like that's super rare. You're not going to see that every year. So saying like who's this year's Brendan Rice is probably like who's this half decade's who's this half decade's Puka Nacua? You know what I mean? But I think Brendan Rice is a good pick. He's with the Chargers. Maybe Bub Means from the Saints. The Saints don't have much at receiver outside of Chris Olave, so like maybe he jumps up the depth chart. Maybe Roman Wilson. He's not like technically late round, but he's a 3rd round pick. So I could see him doing well. So I mean, those are some people, but I think it's tough to project stuff like that every year.
Yeah.
Chris says there was a guy that traded AJ Brown for Pollard last year, which had me rattled. Yeah, clearly still does. I don't know what that person was thinking. But wow. Yeah, there are. I've seen some bad trades over the years in fantasy. So you just gave Spears. It's my turn. How about Jahan Dotson with the Redskins? As ADP's 13-12. He had a really disappointing season last year. I remember. I think you liked him last year, and I did too. And I think he was going like 8th or 9th round. And now he's going round 13, which is really weird because now his quarterback situation is a lot better. He's going from slinging Sammy Howell to Jaden Daniels, and Daniels is a rookie, but it's not like Howell had much experience heading into last year as well. And Daniels is a far better talent than Howell is. And now you're getting Dawson at like a 4-round discount, maybe even 5-round discount. I forget what his ADP was last year, but I think it was like round 8 or 9. So I think this is a great instance of like buying low. Now maybe like Dawson, maybe it just sucks, but he showed something his rookie year. He had a sophomore slump, but again, like I don't think that was all on him. It's just bad quarterbacking. Like even Terry McLaurin had a bad year last year with Howell. So I think there's a chance Dotson rebounds and lives up to his 1st round expectations. I'm willing to take a chance on him in round 13. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's valuable. I think I'm looking at Fantasy Pros. Dotson looks like he's the 62nd receiver off the board, 61st, something like that. I think he's certainly more talented than at least a dozen guys going ahead of him. As I'm looking at the list of guys that are going ahead of him, I could see that, and I think you make the case like he's going later than he was last summer, and he probably has a better situation. We think, going into this year. Although I'm not sure we're not as good at guessing situation as we think we are, but we think the situation is going to be better. I think you could do worse than Dawson in the 13th.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine his situation's not going to be better. Like you're right. Like it is tough to predict these things, but like Sam Howell's not good. We know that, and we know that Jaden Daniels has a lot of talent. Like maybe he's going to bust. There have been number 2 overall picks who have busted before. The Redskins drafted one of them, but I can't imagine that he's not better than Sam Howell. So yeah, John says he's still on the Redskins though, but. Yeah, I get it, but I people know this. They were making fun of me last night that I like the Redskins more than I should this year. Like I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. I think they could win 7 or 8, maybe 9 games. I think they have a lot of talent. I like the upgrades they made in the offensive line. They still have McLaurin. They have Dotson, who I suspect he's gonna do well. They have Austin Eckler. Now Jaden Daniels has to play well for that to come to fruition, but. If he does, I think they have the potential to do it. Plus, like, I love the upgrades they made at linebacker. They haven't had a good linebacking core in years, and now they finally do. So I think they have some stuff going on. I think this team's kind of underrated. So again, not a playoff team, but 7 to 8 wins, I think is possible.
7 or 8 feels like a lot, but yeah.
It's a bad division outside of the Eagles.
By the way, slinging Sammy Howell was amazing for 2 games last year against the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, he looked like Tom Brady. So
did Drew Lock. Like, I feel like every quarterback they played against looked like Tom Brady. So it was a bad defense for the Eagles last year, but it's going to be a lot better. You're up. So this is your number 5 overall. So who do you got?
Yeah, here we go. I'm going to go with a rookie here. I'm going to see how I didn't even look up where he's being drafted. Is this even a real sleeper pick? Okay. I like Jonathan Brooks from the Carolina Panthers here. He's the 31st running back off the board. Looks like his drafts. Is he going in the 9th round? Does that sound right? 8th round, 9th round?
806.
Okay, it's a little higher than maybe I thought. I was hoping to get maybe the 9th or 10th round, but anyway, we expect the Panthers to be terrible. We expect the offense to be totally dysfunctional. That's great. But I don't watch any college football, so I watch very little college football, so I don't know much about this guy. I never watched him play. I'm only reading reports, reading draft analysis from guys that know more than I do. And lots of people like this guy as a guy coming out. And the Panthers, they were terrible last year, but I expect Bryce Young to be a little bit better. And I think they added a couple little pieces to make the team a little bit better. They were absolutely dreadful last year, but could they win 4 or 5 games and not be absolutely dreadful, just be somewhat dreadful? I think that's an upgrade. And if you're somewhat dreadful rather than absolutely dreadful, and you're a talented rookie running back, I think you could score some points. And so, is it more than likely that he's the RB 31? I think there's a good chance he's better than RB 31 by the end of the year. And so I like Jonathan Brooks. Again, I don't know a lot about him, but I'm willing to take a shot on this guy.
So Brooks is someone I like in 2025. But the problem with him this year is coming off the torn ACL. I just don't like running backs coming off torn ACLs. Now, like Breece Hall bucked that trend, but in the first half of the year, he just didn't get that many carries. And then it was like the Denver game. I think it was like week 6 or 7 where they unshackled him, and then he had a great year. So maybe Brooks is great down the stretch and struggles or just doesn't get like the full workload at the beginning of the year. I could see that. But I'm hoping that he just doesn't have a great rookie year and then people forget about him. And then in 2025, you can get him as a sleeper. I think that's something that could definitely happen. So that's something I'm looking out for. But I do agree. I think the Panthers are not going to be the worst team in the NFL. I think they've made too many upgrades. Their coach is much better, or at least we think he's going to be better. But Dave Canales has done some great work with Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield. And I think he's going to make Bryce Young look at least somewhat competent. And they signed a pair of guards to big contracts. They traded for Deontay Johnson. They drafted Xavier Legette in the first round. Like their offense as a whole is going to be better. It can't be worse. So I think like you said, maybe 4 or 5. I think they win 5 or 6 games. I don't think 7 seems like a stretch, but like they could go 5-12, 6-11. Like they're going to be bad, but not. So yeah, we agree on that at least. Sue says, I think I can recall Walt giving the hirings of Quinn and Kingsbury both an F. Kingsbury's definitely an F. Like with Quinn, I just thought the hiring was underwhelming because I thought there were just better options out there than Dan Quinn. Like overall, like I think he could do a better job than Ron Rivera, but I just like it felt like the Redskins could have just made a better hire, and I was just really disappointed with it because there's so much potential, and they just hired a retread, and I just thought that was bad. But like I just like their coaching staff is going to be better than it was last year because last year it was a joke. With Ron Rivera and it was Jack Del Rio, I think was on that team, I think. But yeah, they and whoever the offensive coordinators were, like they just they were just so poor. So I think they're going to be better for sure. John says they haven't had a double-digit win since 2012. Yeah, it's been quite a while. I think by 2025, if Jaden Daniels pans out, I think that'll end then. And then Sue says pedestrian Rashad White had a good year under Canales, so did Kenneth Walker. I like Canales a lot. I like that hire for sure. But we'll see. Brooks coming off the 20 sale is the problem for me. Is that a concern for you?
It probably should be.
Okay.
I'm choosing to ignore it. Okay. Maybe that'll be to my own peril.
Nice. Just close your eyes and just pretend he never tore his ACL. Chris says,
I'll be cutting this guy from all my teams. I'm going, what the heck was I doing? Why did I draft this guy?
Well, the problem is like you're going to cut in week 4, and then like by week 7 they're going to be like, okay, he's going to get all the carries now, and you're going to regret dropping him. You know,
I feel like that's perfectly normal. That's
that always happens. Right?
Once upon a time, I cut Jamal Charles in a week 4, and in week 7 on, he led the league in rushing and touchdowns. So, yeah, it would be the first time in my life.
Well, last year didn't you cut CJ Stroud and I picked him up?
Oh, that's right. I did cut CJ Stroud. Sometimes early in the year, you got injuries, or you're toggling your roster, and you're like, yeah, I got to let a guy go, and bummer.
Yeah, I feel like I had like 4 quarterbacks last year get injured, and then I was like, oh, CJ Stroud's available. Let me pick him up, and it just it worked out for me. Anyway, Chris says maybe Washington was all in on Ben Johnson and had to sort of panic. I think you're right. I think they were banking on Ben Johnson, and then he just decided to stay at Detroit. I think that could be the case for sure. All right, so I'm up next. Khalil Shakir, is ADP is 1105. We have John Sanders, our resident Bills expert or Bills fan, is in the chat, so he can tell me what he thinks about Khalil Shakir. He had 200-yard performances last year. That was with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis on the depth chart. Like now, they're both gone. They have Curtis Samuel. They have Keon Coleman. We don't know if like Keon Coleman's going to be a bust or anything. Like if he is, it's the Khalil Shakir show at receiver because they have nothing else. Like maybe I don't know if you want to count Chase Claypool because he's there randomly, but Shakir might be their number 1 outside receiver this year. And in an offense with Josh Allen, I'll definitely take a chance on that in round 11. I think there's a ton of upside there. Now maybe it just doesn't do much. I could see him having an average season. Like what if Keon Coleman's has a great rookie year? I can see that happening too. So it really depends on that. But like if they really rely on Shakir, who's young and has some potential, I could see him going off. So what are your thoughts on him in round 11?
I got to be honest. I have no idea if Shakir's good.
Okay. I don't either, really, but
I have a guess that he might not be good, but I don't know. I think he probably sucks, but I don't know. But what you just said a moment ago, I think makes sense. Like, okay, we don't know what's going on in that receiving core. I have no idea. It's it's kind of feels like it's a barren. You know what? In the 11th round, I'll take a shot with that this guy turns into Josh Allen's number 1, favorite target. I think there are way worse bets you can make, like putting it all on black at the roulette table. That's a terrible bet. Don't do that.
Yeah. I was actually I was talking to someone who used to work at I'm not going to say the casino. It's a famous casino in Las Vegas, and he said that if the casino's having a bad night, they can rig the roulette wheel once. They'll do it once. Like maybe once and maybe twice a night if they're having a really bad night, but they can do it, and they'll do it once or twice. They'll wait till they're insane amount of bets on the table, and they'll put on 0, 00. Like this is a guy who worked at the casino. He is one of the higher ups. Like he said that they actually did that. So ever since I heard that, I'm like, I'm not playing roulette ever. They can just rig it. So
roulette is the worst odds in the house, even when it's not being rigged.
Yep, I agree. I think it's insane. Like, yeah, if you're gonna do one bet and just like have fun, like place a small bet or something like that, it's okay. But I think people who just like I've seen people sit at the roulette wheel for like hours and like, what are you doing? It's just like the dumbest thing. Like, just do something.
I used to be one of those people. Then one day, I looked over across the casino and I saw the craps table. And at any given time in a casino, the people having the most fun are people at the craps table.
Yep.
And I said, I'm going to learn how to play craps, and that's it. That's my game now.
Okay.
If
Yeah,
I
have you
was a
done?
gambler, I'm not a gambler, but if I were a gambler, I'm just saying it.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. I've never played craps. I actually never gambled in a casino. It's outside of sports betting. I've never pulled a slot lever. I've never played roulette. I've never played poker. I've never played blackjack. I've never done anything.
I know some people who sit at slot machines for like hours. I guess.
Me too.
I think it's an interesting way to spend your time. I'm not dogging on anybody. I just think it's interesting.
Those people look like zombies. Just like pulling the slot like over and over again. It's like this does not look like fun. It's
now
just
it's
like
just a button. It's electronics.
it's a button, right? Yeah. I don't get it. I really don't understand the appeal there. And like it's a losing proposition too. Like if I were to play something at the casino, it would be poker because there's some skill there. And I used to play with friends, so like I know how to play, but like I feel like I would just get bored after an hour and I just want to leave. So I would just go all. I'm like I'm tired of this. All in, all in. Like 8-9 suited. All in. Let's go. Let's see what happens. But anyway, so Chris says I caught Pickens in early December. His late catch versus Seattle only cost me my league title game. Ouch. That sucks. Sorry to hear that. And he says that and the AJ Brown guy also trading Lamar for Geno Smith and future draft picks. That's. I hope it was a lot of future draft picks. Yeah, that's crazy. Cassandra says in 2021, before week 1, I offered Tyler Boyd for Gus Edwards. Received what I thought was confirmation a few hours later, so I clicked OK. Turns out it was a counter. I said yes to Edwards for Cup. Wow. Oh my God. That's pretty brutal. Actually, I've done my fair share of stupid things like that today. I had like some. I made some good stock trades today, like for options, but like I had one trade that was going like sour, and I was trying to sell it, and I was like trying to sell these put options for 50 cents, and I put in 50 cents as a limit, and like it said no pending transactions. I'm like, oh cool, it sold 50 cents. I didn't lose that much. And then I looked like 5 minutes later, and I'm like, wait, why is there no money in my account? Or I didn't get the money back in my account. I'm like, oops, I bought for 50 cents. I'm like, oh, man, this sucks. So like, oh, that was stupid. So, yeah, I've done my fair share of that, too. Sue says, Shakir, can he handle number 1 receiver attention from defenses? If so, he's a nice pick at his ADP. Yeah, that's a concern, too. Keon Coleman may see some of that coverage. Dalton Kincaid is going to see some of that coverage, too. But that is a valid concern for sure. So maybe against teams that don't have great corners, you want to play him and just sit him otherwise. And as Chris says, penny slots for free beers. For free beers, my first time in Vegas. I just never I've never done slots. But yeah, it's I don't know. I just don't get it. Like I said, but anyway, I think you're up. So who do you got?
Okay, my number 4 guy here would be Mr. Brian Robinson Jr. Okay, so I'm where is he at? He is Fantasy Pros says he's the let me see what. Sorry, I think Fantasy Pros says he's the 35th running back off the board.
ADP 910.
Yeah, I am pretty confident he is better than Austin Eckler at this point in his career. Eckler was fine last year, but injured, and he's had multiple years of injury. And I've always been a kind of an Austin Eckler hater, if I'm honest, for years. I'm just not confident that his style could hold up. Now, he's proven me wrong multiple years in a row, but I wonder if like this is finally the year where it's just like, listen, you're old, you're getting older, you're getting injured, your body can't hold up. Brian Robinson is like I think he's a really good player. Well, maybe really good's too strong. I think he's a good player, and I don't think he's been used well in Washington. So I do think the coaching staff here should be a little bit better. They have made some upgrades around him. I'm just convinced that this team is going to be slightly better than they were last year, as you talked about. And I'm convinced that Brian Robinson is going to be their primary ball carrier. And so I think in all likelihood, Brian Robinson finishes as an RB2. You're telling me I can get a guy that I think is going to be an RB2 in round 9 or 10? Like, this is a great bet. I'm willing to take him So I'm probably going to own a lot of Brian Robinson this year. I'm not an Austin Eckler fan. I think Robinson is better than Eckler and should be drafted ahead of him.
I have intense hatred for Austin Eckler because he cost me $100,000 on Rainmakers in week 12 of 2022. I don't know if I told you the story, but I was in first place the entire 4 o'clock window. First place, just said winning 100 grand. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then his final carry just dropped me because it was like 1 yard. It was 1 yard away from first place. So safe to say I did not win anything close to that, unfortunately. Just sucks, but what are you going to do? So yeah, I don't like Austin Eckler for that reason. I do think he's a great receiver out of the backfield. And I think he played hurt last year. He got hurt in week 1, and I don't think he's ever 100%. But I do think Brian Robinson will get the majority of the carries. I just think that like he's going to lose a lot of receiving opportunities for Eckler. But I think if Eckler goes down, like Robinson's going to get more of those catches too. So something to look out for. And he did show off like an ability to catch passes late last year, I think. So I do like that pick. Chris says there's nothing to get. Slots are boring. I used to play a lot of Hold'em poker, which is more fun in Vegas. Yeah, it does seem like more fun, but it's also more time consuming. Like you can get stuck at a table for like hours on end. Like I know a guy, he tried to play poker professionally. Like he would get to Parks Casino, which is like around the corner from me. He would get there at 9 o'clock after his wife went to bed or something. And then he'd leave at like 6 a.m. And it's like, I'm like, did you win anything? He's like, yeah, I was up maybe $50 throughout the whole night. Like, it's like, man, just all that time, like, just like seems like so wasted. And like sometimes he'd be down too. Like, I don't know, it's just it's so brutal. And Cassandra says Edwards also tore his ACL like a day after that trade before having played even one game. I'd forgotten about that part until now. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Yeah, facts. I only play tournaments too. Yeah, it's super time consuming. If it was only like an hour, I think it'd be cool to do. I would, like I said, I'd just lose interest and just go all in at like my first mediocre hand that I saw. Anyway, I'm up next. I have Rico Dowdle. His ADP's 1509. I don't understand this. He's the starting running back on the Cowboys. I know they signed Ezekiel Elliott, but I have a tough time envisioning Elliott getting touches over Dowdle. And maybe he's like an unknown factor. Maybe his ADP rises as the summer progresses. I could see that happening. And Dallas did lose 2 starting offensive linemen, so that's an issue. But if you're giving me the starting running back on a team, is ADP's 1509. I'll just take that I'll take that all the time. Like, just no questions asked. So yeah, what do you think about this? Why do you think his ADP so late?
I don't know why his ADP is so late. But interestingly enough, the next guy on my list is Rico Dowdle. So
okay, nice.
I had similar. I've said similar guys. I'm not sure he's actually good. Watching him play last year, he was serviceable. And I don't know what Zeke Elliott has left in the tank. I think Zeke actually played okay for the Patriots, for some parts. But like, I think it's more than likely, than not that the Rico's going to get at least 50% of the carries, if not more, on a team that we think should be a viable offense. I think he's the 40. Where was he? The 40. I had it in front of me a moment ago. He's the 46th running back off the board. I just think that's absurd. So yeah, he was the number 3 guy on my list.
Yeah. So there are 32 teams in the league, so like 1.5 running backs per team are going ahead of him, even though he's the starting running back on the Cowboys. I wonder where Elliott's going. Elliott's going 33 picks earlier than him, which makes no sense to me. I know that like he's like a known quantity, but like, yeah, he looked okay at times last year. Like, I think mostly as a receiver. I don't know. I just wasn't super impressed with him. Like, he had like one good game, and then that was kind of it. He did
the 40th running back off the board.
Yeah, he still did well at the goal line, and I think that's going to be his specialty. And maybe that caps Dowdle's upside if he's not being used at the goal line. But I think he will be the primary back in Dallas. No, he's going to share carries, but still,
I don't know if he's going to be primary or not. I don't have the crystal ball, but as the 46th running back off the board in the 15th round, that's well worth the shot.
Yeah.
As you said, maybe his stock rises throughout the summer.
I think so too. I'd be surprised if it doesn't. So, John says Rico Dowdle doesn't even know who Rico Dowdle is. Does he like wake up every morning with amnesia? Just doesn't know who he is, and he has to like watch a videotape. He's like, "Hi, I'm a running back in the NFL." That'd be kind of depressing. Make a movie out of it. And then Sue says because people think Elliott will be the goal line back, McCarthy is the coach after all. McCarthy is the coach. It's true. That is the downside. And as we know, Kenny is not a big fan of Mike McCarthy. So
not at all. That's a good point.
So maybe that's like a thing against Dowdle here, but I don't know. I still think it's great value. So you gave your pick, which is Dowdle, which I did too. So my next guy is Ty Chandler. His ADP is 1405. So Aaron Jones is there now, but Aaron Jones gets hurt a lot. Like, he was injured multiple times last year. I don't expect him to stay healthy. He's a year older, obviously, as everyone is. But I think he's nearing retirement. He's definitely closer to retirement than he was at the beginning of his career. If he does get hurt again, it's going to be the Ty Chandler show. He's the number 2 running back there, and for sure we know that. And the Vikings were impressed with him at the end of last year. He had some good performances. I think people kind of forgot about him because the Vikings signed Jones. Like, when's Jones going to get hurt? Like, it's not if, it's when. It's like week 5, week 6, week 7. Like, suddenly Ty Chandler is going to be the starting running back there, and he's just someone I want on my roster. I like rostering these running backs who have high potential if the starter goes down, because that tends to happen a lot with running backs. So what do you think about Ty Chandler at his 14th round ADP?
We saw Ty Chandler play some last year, and he sucks. So
he sucks.
Yeah, I think he sucks. He's kind of a shot out of a cannon kind of guy, right? Like, just they hand him the ball and he just, he goes from 0 to 60 in no time, and that's good for it's good for a bit in the game, but it's a one-trick pony. Defenses figure him out. So if everyone around him is injured and the offenses around him is still good, I mean, if the running backs are all injured, but the offensive line is healthy and playing good, and there's no one else getting carries, then yes, Chandler is going to be a RB1 or maybe an RB2. But there's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, I just think Aaron Jones is the only if, and Aaron Jones gets hurt a lot. Like, I don't know who else needs to get hurt on this roster for Ty Chandler to get opportunities. The coaches even talked him up.
The offense is going to be good at it. Like, is the offense around him going to be good enough to sustain him? Like, he's not good, so he needs a great offense around him to be good.
Well, I think I like their offensive line, and they have 2 studs at receiver. So there is stuff around them, plus TJ Hawkinson. I mean, he's coming off torn ACL, but who knows? But outside of that, I like the rest of their offense outside of quarterback. And then you look at the running back depth charts, Aaron Jones and then Ty Chandler. After that's Kenny Nwangu, Myles Gaskin, and Dwayne McBride. Like, those guys are not going to beat out Chandler because the coaching staff has talked them up. Like, they do like him. So if Jones gets hurt, it's going to be Chandler's. So
yeah, of the coaches lie. I don't know. The coaches talking up a player means nothing to me. Sorry.
But they didn't talk up the other guys though.
Yeah, I can give you 90% of the time when coaches talk a guy up, it means nothing. On your list so far, you said Johan Dotson. I think he's okay. Shakir, I'm not sure if he sucks. Rico Dowdle, I don't think he sucks. Chandler, I think he sucks. I think I think he's different than the other guys you've mentioned.
Okay. I don't know. I like him more than you do. I was kind of impressed with him last year. After he took the job from Alexander Madison. So I kind of liked him. What'd you say?
He also sucked.
He did really suck for sure. So maybe I'm just comparing people to Madison. Maybe I shouldn't do that. But I don't know. I think 14th rounds, I think is a good value for Chandler.
I'm also not sure that the coaching staff really has confidence in Ty Chandler, because when Madison was out, they had Ty Chandler, and then they went and they made a trade for Cam Akers, right?
Well, that was before Chandler got any opportunities, though.
Yeah, but he was on the roster, so if they really thought he was great, why wouldn't they have just why trade Akers? I'm not maybe they are confident now, but I'm not even sure they were confident in him.
Yeah, but they did give him the job over Akers, when Madison got benched. So I don't know. That was a weird trade. I didn't quite get it, but yeah, that's before Chandler got a shot too. So, yeah. Thoughts on Chase Brown? Chris is asking about this. I do like Chase Brown. I think Zach Moss is the primary back right now there, but it's like that could change. And I think Brown looked pretty good at times late last year. So, I do like.
I would be drafting Brown over Moss.
I would too. I definitely agree with that. So yeah, I mean, I can see Chase Brown being on this being on the sleepers list. Where is he going? Let's see. Chase Brown's ADP is 115 overall, which is 1007, which actually seems a little early. Do you think it's good value? I thought when I was looking this up, I thought it'd be like 12th to 13th round because he's not the starter
there. I guess I'm looking at him as a guy who's going to be like starter. Like, I don't know, that he's going to get a chunk of carries. Like,
yeah.
So, and I think he's probably the primary ball carrier at some point in the season.
I think I agree with that.
Sometime between weeks 3 and 5, he probably begins to assert himself. I'd be surprised if we get to week 7 and Zach Moss is getting the bulk of the carries.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think like now that he has experience, like if he was a rookie, I'd be hesitant, but I think you're right. John asking why down on Zach Moss. I just don't think Zach Moss is that good. He ran behind a great offensive line in Indianapolis last year. So I think that was misleading. And then like late in the year when he had like some tough matchups, he barely did anything. So I just think that like he was kind of a flash in the pan. I just don't have much confidence there.
Right.
And then Chris says, "Oh, like 50 First Dates," says Enrico Daddle. It would just be a remake of that, just like a ripoff of an Adam Sandler movie. All right, you're up because I gave you Ty Chandler. What do you think? Who's next?
Okay. Next for me is well, hold on. I keep forgetting to bring.
You have 2 left. You have 2 left, I think, right?
Right. You got 2 left. Yep.
Okay.
I'm going back to the well with a guy that I was all in last year, and it paid off great dividends. Mr. Christian Kirk. He's the 31st running back off the board, I think. Let me just make sure I get that right. Yep. He's the 31st running back off the board. And I think he's like clearly their best like weapon out of the backfield or in the passing game. Mm-hmm. And so, he was their best receiver last year. Calvin really was super inconsistent. I've always kind of been a fan of Christian Kirk. I think I've always been higher than most people. So this is probably not a surprise to anyone who's kind of listened to my thoughts over the years, as worthless as they typically are. But, I just think he's a great player. I expect Trevor Lawrence to take a little bit of a step forward this year, as he should. I don't know how good the Jaguars are going to be, but I think Christian Kirk is, being drafted as a 31st receiver off the board. Like, I don't know. I'm looking at the receivers going ahead of him. I'm like, I think he's easily a top 20 receiver. And I don't understand why he's not being drafted like that. I think it's odd.
Yeah, I think he's being drafted too late. I agree. His ADP is 606. So like, I think that's more like of a value guy than a sleeper. I consider a sleeper as like ADP 100 or higher, But yeah, I agree. I have Kirk in my top 25 of receivers. So I think you're right. I think he's going too late. Especially, I mean, Calvin Ridley's gone now. Like they drafted Brian Thomas, but he's super raw. They have Gabe Davis, who is going to play great for 3 games and do nothing the other 14. So I think like Christian Kirk is going to be way more consistent. So yeah, I agree with you on that one. My next one, I have 2 left as well. My penultimate guy is J.K. Dobbins. It says ADP 1325. That's wrong. It's probably 1305. So I know you like J.K. Dobbins as a talent, and he was coming off a torn ACL last year, so I didn't expect much from him. I just don't like running backs coming off for 20 ACLs. It's one of my rules to never draft them. So I stayed away from him last year, but now he's 2 years removed from the 20 ACL. I think there's a good chance, maybe not a good chance, but somewhat of a chance he has better injury luck. Now, if his ADP was 9th round or 8th round, I think that would be too much of a risk. But you're talking 13th round here with a guy who I think has the best chance to being a starting running back on this Charger team that could be good. It could be better than expected. And remember, they drafted a right tackle in the first round. So their offensive line is going to be better. They're going to have much better run blocking than they've had in the past. And I think Dobbins is going to get first crack at the starting job. Now there's Gus Edwards and stuff like that, but like there's not that much competition really. And Dobbins is way more talented than any running back they have on that roster. So 13th round is someone I have a ton of interest in Dobbins. What do you think?
Well, my number one is Mr. J.K. Dobbins.
There you go. Nice.
There it is. So yeah, you mentioned, you said, you know that I like his talent. I've been one of the biggest Dobbins fans, it feels like around. Absolutely loved him. I think you said it right. Like are we expecting this team to be better with Jim Harbaugh? Are we expecting them to run the ball better? Is Dobbins going to be healthy? Is the right tackle they drafted going to be ready? Like, there's a lot of question marks. Certainly, we understand that. But Dobbins is as talented as almost any running back in the league. Maybe not the same talent level as a Christian McCaffrey, Saquon, Bijan Robinson. Like, he doesn't have that talent, maybe, but he's in the second tier, and there's not a massive chasm between him and those guys. And so, situation and health. If the situation is even above average and he's healthy, I don't think it's crazy that Dobbins is our RB1 this year. Like, I think we go back and like in round 13, his floor to me is like worth round 9. Mm-hmm. Like, his upside is worth round 1 or round 2. Like, it's that kind of chasm between where he's being drafted and what I think the potential upside is. He's a fantastic talent. I've always loved him. I was always sad the Eagles didn't draft him. Of course, the way the injuries have turned out, maybe maybe it's a good thing they didn't. But if he's healthy, again, major if. But if he's healthy, how does he not way outperform this draft status?
Yeah, if he were healthy, like if he had no injury concerns, and I guess it's not fair because he does have some injury question marks, so you can't ignore them. But like in the 13th round, I guess you can't ignore them. But like hypothetically, like based on his talent, if he didn't have those injury concerns, like where would he be going? Would he be going 2nd, 3rd round?
I mean, like at worst 5th, maybe more.
Yeah.
Like to me, like maybe he switches teams and people are concerned, so maybe he drops a little. I don't know, but like, yeah, I remember a couple years ago when he was healthy, he was a 2nd round pick in fantasy drafts, right? It was late 2nd, early 3rd in most fantasy drafts a couple years ago.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I think he was like early 3rd, late 2nd, like you said. So, yeah, we're getting a great value there. And as John says, running backs feast in Roman's offenses. So, and he has familiarity with that system. So there's no transition at all. So it just feels like a great pick, I think. And I kind of like knowing my number 1. I think I should have him at number 1. I'm going to try to get one of his Rainmaker cards from a year ago. I think it might be cheap, or at least I hope so. So I think he's super undervalued. Chris says, look how much Harbaugh loved running at Michigan as well. Yeah, so it's a great point. Of course, passer starve. Yeah. So it's funny that I have 3 Chargers on this list. So I should like the Chargers, although according to my season previews, I don't really. But I do think Dobbins is the best of the bunch. So
2 of our, I actually had one other honorable mention I actually forgot about, funny enough, so we can go back to that. But
you can go ahead now.
I completely forgot. I mean, this was an obvious one. Anyone who knows me knows this is my jam right here. I am the president of the Jaylen Warren fan club. Jaylen Warren, he's the 28th running back off the board. I think he's going around, what's his ADP, round 9.
I'll look it up in a second. 12. He's 805.
Okay. I expect that offense to be a little bit better once Justin Fields steps in. I've loved Jaylen Warren. No one kind of knew who he was. I've been a big fan of his. And then, the last couple games of the year, he really asserted himself. They brought back Mr. Najee Harris, who sucks. but for whatever reason, the Steelers seem to like him, and so I think Najee Harris is the 20th running back off the board. I don't think Harris should be like the 40th running back off the board. Like, that's my thought of him. And so I think it's more likely than not that Warren will assert himself and be a quality starter. The only issue with Warren is, how many touchdowns is that offense going to score. So I think there's some potential touchdown, scarcity there. But if he's a 28th running back off the board, I expect Warren to be an RB2 this year or approach that. So he'll really be a top 24, top 20 running back, I think. So not like incredible value, but I think there's decent value. And if Harris were to go down with an injury, and this offense were to actually what if like Justin Fields come in and he's great, and the offense really begins to boom in the second half of the year, I think Warren then is a top 15 running back or top 12, top 13. Like, he's got that kind of upside. So that's not likely, but I think that upside is there. So, with Harris being there, with the question marks at quarterback, it does limit my enthusiasm, but I freaking love Jaylen Warren.
I like him too, but I don't know if you saw the news report on Najee Harris. He's undergone a new training regimen. He's losing weight, just to try to just be a more effective running back. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, does that change your opinion at all? Or like, I mean, not of Warren, but maybe of Harris.
No, I've seen him play with my eyeballs in the NFL. I don't care. He sucks.
I don't think he sucks. He's gotten over 1,000 yards every season.
I mean, compared to me, he doesn't suck. No.
I think he gets. I've said this before. I think he gets a lot of flack because he was a first round pick. Like, as a first round pick, he sucked. But if Najee Harris is drafted in the third round, I think we'd be saying, "Oh, he's had a good career so far," But
yeah, it's relative. I just watch him go. Like, he's just a guy. Like, he gets what's blocked. That's fine, because not everyone does that. Miles Sanders doesn't do that. Like, never miss an opportunity to take a shot at Miles Sanders. Like there's some guys that literally can't get what's blocked. So I hand him that. And Harris, like, he's been decent out of the backfield, and he's decent in pass coverage, or picking up blitz. Like he does some things. He's fine, but he's just a guy. And so when I watch Warren play and I watch Harris play, Warren's just clearly a better player. And for whatever reason, they like Harris. And sometimes coaches like players because they're gritty and tough and whatever. Mike Tomlin's that kind of guy. Like, oh, he's tough. Whatever. I'm just like, but he sucks.
I have one negative thing to say about Jaylen Warren, and it's nothing to do with Jaylen Warren himself, but the offensive coordinator for the Steelers is Arthur Smith. And we saw it last year. Arthur Smith, he gave touches to Cordero Patterson over Bijan Robinson. Guess who is the number 3 running back on the Steelers right now? It's Cordero Patterson. So maybe he's going to get worked in.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah. So yeah, Warren ordinarily would be a guy that I love, but I had him as my 10th player. Actually, I realized I lost track of how many players I had on my list.
Okay. No, I do like him as well. I think you make good points. I'd definitely rather have Warren in the 8th than Harris in the 5th. So John says Frank Gore's best years were when Harbaugh took over San Francisco. Yeah, Harbaugh like builds these great running games. We see it in the NFL. We see it in college. It's definitely something he's done. So I have more interest in Dobbins by the minute here. And
John Sanders. John Sanders said Frank Gore's best years were when Harbaugh. No, Frank Gore's best years were back in 1964 because he played in the NFL for 50 years.
That's true. He was around for so long. It's sad that his son wasn't drafted. I was hoping he'd be good. But who knows? Maybe it will be. And then Sue says maybe Najee Harris could use the jogging class at Penn State. My famous jogging class where I did no jogging whatsoever. That was a fun time. Something in my book if you guys want to read about it. We have one more player to discuss. It's my number 1 guy, and like I said, I think I want to move Dobbins to number 1, but I like this guy a lot too. It is Kendre Miller from the Saints. His ADP is 1208. Now he's the number 2 running back right now, which again, Dobbins is we think is number 1. So maybe that's another reason to put Miller at number 2. But I think Miller has a good chance to see a ton of work this season because Alvin Kamara tends to get hurt a lot. He's nearing 30. I think he's definitely on the decline. Like he didn't play as well last year as he has in the past. And I think maybe that had to do with like him missing time. But still, like he does tend to miss time a lot. And I think that Miller is going to have an easy path to touches. Last year, Jamal Williams is there. He was blocking him as well. But Jamal Williams is gone. And so Kendrick Miller's the concrete number 2 right now. And like I said, I think he's going to get touches. The Saints drafted Talis Fuaga at number 14. He's projected to be a really great run blocker at right tackle. So the Saints run blocking is going to be better. I just think that like if Kendrick Miller gets a shot, I think that he can make the most out of it. I like this talent coming out of TCU. And I think that he's going to get legitimate chances here. So what do you think about Miller?
Yeah, I like Miller a lot. As a good player, I think. But I think to me, it takes a legitimate injury to Kamara. So as you said, Kamara has missed time, but I don't think there's he's really going to get worked in all that much. Once Kamara was back in game shape last year, he really kind of dominated all the meaningful carries and stuff. And I watched Kamara play; he looked great to me last year. I don't think he didn't look like he took a step back at all. So if Kamara is fully healthy and playing, I don't know that I think there's limited options for Miller. But if Kamara were to get hurt and miss any stretch of time, then I think Miller could be a potentially great option.
Yeah, Kamara has never played a full season after his rookie year. He's missed 9 games in the past 3 years. So I do think Miller is going to get a shot at some point. But you are right. Like Kamara is going to have to get hurt. So again, like I would put Dobbins number 1 now. Like I'm thinking about it, but I do like Miller a lot. So I'll be looking to draft him as well, especially if I can't get Dobbins. John says Frank Gore still might be better than his son, which might be true.
Yeah.
We'll see. So that's it for our sleepers. We do have Rainmaker packs to open though, which is always fun. I have an NFL pack. You have a golf pack, I think. Is that correct? Right. Okay. Here it is. This is a rookie debut pack. I don't think the players have been added yet. So if it'll say like quarterback 3, who would be like Drake May. So we'll have to like determine who that is. So this is a rookie debut pack. I paid how much did I pay for this? I don't know. I think I paid $21 for this, and I can now sell for $22. But as Kenny says, Kenny's the man of the people, and I want to aspire to be like Kenny. So I'm a man of the people today too. So I'm opening up this pack, and I think the over under on the value of this pack. Now I can sell for 22, as I said. I think the over under for value in this pack is probably going to be like $10. So what do you think? Over under $12 or $10 for it?
It's going to be under.
Come on, under. Okay. Well, if it's 3 cores, it'll definitely be under. But I'm hoping for a rare Marvin Harrison or rare Malik Neighbors.
That would be excellent.
Or rare Caleb Williams, rare Jaden Daniels. Like those are the 4 money makers.
Walter, so. We are experts at turning some amount of money into less amount of money.
That's right. That's how we roll here on the Walter Football After Dark show. So I am going to open this pack now and hold my breath here. So let's go. I have 50%. And I got 3 cores, of course. So I'm definitely going to be under. That is a bummer here. So my first core it is wide receiver 2. So that is Malik Neighbors. So
all right.
We're off to a good start. I'm still going to be under. If this was my rare, I'd definitely be over. So again, I don't know why they don't just give you 1 rare. This is such a ripoff. These like 50-50 rare packs. But anyway, my second card is quarterback 2. So this is a great player. These are great players. So I have Jaden Daniels, right? Jaden Daniels, and Malik Neighbors so far. So looking pretty good. Let's see who my last guy is. It is receiver 7. I think that's Jalen Polk. So disappointing to end on that now. And on that note, I'm gonna make sure. Let's see. I think it's Jalen Polk. Let's see. So Harrison, Neighbors, Odunze are top 3. Brian Thomas is 4. Xavier Worthy is 5. Ricky Pearsall is 6. Oh, Xavier Legette is 7. Okay, so yeah, I'd rather have Xavier Legette than Jalen Polk. Even though it is Carolina, but still, I think he has more potential. So yeah, not a bad third one. Obviously, could have been much better, but yeah, I'm happy to get Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors. So we'll see what this is worth. Again, I think I paid $20 for this. Let's see how much I came out with.
$4.
So that receiver 375 plus 394. That's about 775 plus $1.34. So
Okay.
it's about $9. So it did go under. But I did get. I don't think that's bad for 3 cores. $9. So yeah, it could have been a lot better. But yeah, that's that tends to happen when you open these stupid packs.
There's no better feeling than turning $21 into $9.
I know it's opening Rainmaker packs is not recommended. I do recommend getting a Rainmakers. I like it a lot, but if you buy stuff, buy it on the open market. You can get cards you want, and you won't lose money out of it. So John Sanders with 211. Thank you so much, John. I'm out. Enjoy your digital card thing. So
enjoy your digital card thing.
So yeah, we went from $9 to $11.11 here. So thank you, John, for helping us make our money back.
Excellent.
It said, John, would you stay for WNBA cards? I don't think I would ever play WNBA Rainmakers. I would, maybe I'd do it like you, like I'd open up a free pack and like just enter in lineups, but I just couldn't do it. So this says, welcome to the 20 Super Chat Club, John Marv Levy Sanders. Chris says, any thoughts on the hot sports? Any thoughts on the hot new sports bar chain out of Portland, the Sports Bra? I've not heard of this. Maybe it's a joke. Out of Portland, I don't know. And the WNBA cards that shut down my computer on delay pronto. Yes, for sure. All right, Kenny, you're up. Let's see what you got here.
This is a core prize pack.
Okay.
From a golf. Now you got to remember, I don't even know most golfers' names, so I have no idea if this will be good or bad. We'll see.
And let's be clear here. You're not going to lose any money on this because this is a prize pack. You won it in a contest. So This is free. You're automatically going to make money on this. And the best card you could get is Scotty Scheffler, is the best golfer in the world. I think his cores are going for like $30 maybe. Rory McIlroy.
And now Rainmakers has a new rule where you get points for how many times you're arrested in golf. So
that's true. Although the charges were dropped, so I don't know if he's going to get those points. But Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, Sahith Theegala would all be really good. You're just hoping for a golfer who's actually golfs, because there are some cards out there of golfers who just don't golf anymore.
Does Tiger Woods still golf?
Tiger Woods actually golfs a little bit. Like, he's actually better than some of the options you can get. Like. And you could get a Grayson Murray, which is unfortunate. But yeah, you can get some bums. Like there's a John Ha is in these packs. He hasn't golfed since 2022, and I can't find any information on where he went. Like, I've done Google searches, I've asked people, they're like, I have no idea what happened to him. So he has cards out there. So let's hope this is not a John Ha.
John Ha will be now that you said it. It'll be John Ha.
I said it. Yeah, it's John Ha. I'm sorry, Kenny. I've condemned you to John Ha. All right, let's see what you got. It's exciting. Jason Hadley, not bad. He's not bad at all. In my model this week, Hadley, I think he's top 30. Let's see. He's 31. He's 31 in my model. Out of 120. So
and that card is worth about 25 cents. That's exciting.
Is it 25 cents? Our pictures are covering that up.
Big spender that I am.
It's 25 cents. That's pretty cheap for I think Hadley should be worth more than that. Yeah, you have Mackenzie Hughes, 69 cents there. Yeah, the core cards aren't worth much. But first place in the core contest is $2,500. So you could this could win you $2,500 theoretically. So I've won
a lot of prize packs every week. Almost every week I've won a prize pack the last couple of weeks, and I've won cash twice. I've won $3 2 different times. I've won $3, so that's a grand total of $6 cash, I think I can afford a cheeseburger now.
You can afford 2 McDonald's cheeseburgers. In fact, we know that for sure. But no, I mean, you played this for free. You put $0 into this, so
right. I'm not exactly.
Yeah, so it's $6 free. So why not? And you do have a Rory McIlroy, so like you could spike this tournament. You could, like, what if you win $2,500? Like you did nothing and you won $2,500. So I'll be rooting for you. If I don't win, I hope you do win. So
I would say if I win $2,500, I will buy everyone watching this right now a copy of Walter's book, Jerks of the College Years. So if I win $2,500 next week, I'll come on the show. And if you were watching tonight, right now, you just send me a message on Twitter or something, and I'll get you a copy of Walt's book. How about that?
Kenny is truly the man of the people.
I'm a man of the people. I mean,
that's awesome. Yeah. Well, now I'm rooting for you over me then. So yeah, I hope that happens. So we have a couple comments before we head out here. Chris says, I'm afraid it's real. Their business model is they only show women's sports on their TVs. Oh my God. Well, good luck with that. And it's about to aggressively expand. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work out too well.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm trying to understand. There's a bar, like a sports bar chain called the Sports Bra.
Yes, apparently
they only show women's sports on the TV. That's the shtick.
Yes, apparently.
I guess this is a case study in how fast a company can get to bankruptcy. Is that what this is?
Yeah, right. Well, Kenny, we are specialists in turning a lot of money into zero money. I mean, apparently the sports bras too. They watch the show. They're like, wait, I have an idea.
Touche.
Yeah, yes. Like says, I'm here tonight, but not loaded yet. Well, we're almost done, so you just hurry up and get loaded. Like, Cassandra says, Walt, did you get the Dr. Pepper? So this is in reference to Jacob, who said that he said McDonald's has the best Dr. Pepper he's ever had. So I said I was gonna go.
Dr. Pepper the same?
I don't know. Jacob said it. I trust Jacob. Jacob's a smart guy.
Really?
I think that he's right. I don't know. We'll see. And I said I was going to go to McDonald's and get a Dr. Pepper. No, this is Chick-fil-A. I went there with my son tonight because we had swim lessons and we don't get home till late. So as soon as we drove by Chick-fil-A, or we drove toward Chick-fil-A, my son saw it. He's like, chicken French fries. He just knew it. And so yeah, we had to go there. But no, tomorrow I'm going to go to McDonald's. Tom is going to be on tomorrow, by the way, instead of Saturday. Tom's going to be on tomorrow. He can't make Saturday. He's working this weekend. So he's going to do the show on Thursday, assuming he doesn't fall asleep again. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Tom tomorrow. And then we're going to have a special guest on Saturday. So that'll be fun. A couple other comments. Cassandra says that is the worst business models I've ever heard. It's pretty bad. Worse than opening up Rainmakers packs. K Make It Eagle says Twin Peaks has scantily clad women as servers. So down the sports bra have a bunch of guys dressed like Chippendales. I don't know what who their servers are, but dude, I was so disappointed with Twin Peaks. Not the show, the bar. In Las Vegas, there's a bar called Twin Peaks, and like Cam Aiken says, it's women,
right?
Yeah, it is. But my wife, I never heard of it. My wife didn't either. And we saw it. We're like, oh, Twin Peaks, it's like our favorite show. And like we thought it was gonna be like a Twin Peaks style restaurant, like gonna like see it's like an R&R deli, or like a restaurant or diner, and like you're gonna get like a cup of Joe or something. Like we were super excited, and it was nothing like that at all. So I was sad.
I've never been there, but I've heard it's just like a Hooters type.
Yeah, like it's Hooters. That's not really Hooters. I'd rather just go to Hooters. But yeah, my wife and I were talking to our waitress, and she was an attractive girl, but she was probably like early 20s, and like my wife was like, oh, we thought this was gonna be like Twin Peaks the show, and she's like, oh, I never heard of that. And I was like, oh yeah, because you're so young. So right. Yeah. Anyway, Chris says they probably have scantily clad women too, given the preferences of the majority of their clients. It's true. Sue says maybe the sports bra bars are backed by Walt's AMC CEO guy. That's Adam Aaron, the worst CEO on the planet. He's either an idiot or a crook. I just don't know which one, but he's one of them.
Or both.
Or or both. He could be an idiot crook. But I do think, I mean, the way he sabotaged the company, I think, is pretty calculated. So I think he's a crook, but he could be dumb. Backed by one of the Reddit's top bananas. And that is it for tonight's show. Glad we had at least two agreements, right? We had Dobbins and Dowdle. Usually we have a couple of agreements, and we had some disagreements, which is always fun. So we can always see who does better throughout the season. But Kenny, do you have anything to promote? Maybe your website. Do you have anything new on thecapisfake.com?
No new content, but there's lots of fun stuff there. You did mention earlier in the show the Redskins hiring a retread.
Mm-hmm.
I do have an article on there about should NFL teams hire retread head coaches, and so anyone's interested in checking that about the salary cap, and mainly about the salary cap being fake. So
nice. Yeah, check out thecapsfake.com. You can read that article. It's a good one. I read it. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow with Tom, Saturday special guest. So looking forward to that. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. We have aprons now. We have Butker was right aprons. So again, get that for one of your loved ones. Have a good night, guys, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
You the man, Walt.